everyone, and welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, a podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and if you've been listening to the podcast for any amount of time, you know that I am a huge wrestling fan. So it gives me so much joy to pronounce that today, the TRAMP is here! Today's guest is Noah Vale, a wrestler based out of the Forgotten State of Florida, best known as the Punk Rock Prima Dona, the Southeast Gay Gatekeeper, the Erotic Nightmare, and so much more. Noah is someone that has been on my radar for a while, and it's so exciting to have them here. And genuinely, the conversation that we had was one of the most insightful ones that I think I've ever had on the podcast, like, not even just for a wrestler, but for an artist in general. If you enjoy our guests, please make sure you support them with the links down in the description below. I mean, for goodness sakes, they just recently were on the Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Top 500 as number 305. Yes, the most Florida number you could get for something like that. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff. You know it truly makes my day. Also, if you want to help another fellow trans, queer, incredible creator in this community, I'm still asking for you guys to help out with our good friend Gearpunk. We're inching closer and closer to the goal that he needs for making sure that he can actually have a place to live for he and his partner. So please go in the description below, get his comic Fractured if you're a major fan of sci-fi web comics. He has the first issue of it for $5 or more. Or if you just want to help and you don't want an incredible comic in return, his Ko-fi will be in the description below so you can donate and help him out today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. You're someone that I've honestly admired on the internet for a good bit of the time, and the chance to get to even talk to you it's an honor.
I apologize that you have any semblance of those emotions towards me. I am a big goof.
Yep.
As far as it being an honor, I'm just glad that you thought of me and that I exist outside of the space of doing professional wrestling on an occasion.
Hey, no, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, we're going to be talking a lot about wrestling because I consider wrestling an art form in one form or fashion, you know.
As do I.
Perfect. But, I mean, regardless, I mean, look, you say you're a big goofball. That's what I love and admire. You're just unapologetically you online more than anything else. So that's all I could ever ask for whenever I bring a guest on this podcast, so.
A problem. My apologies if I seem distracted for 2 seconds. I usually, whenever I do these, I try to put something on in the background. That way my ADHD has something to like focus on in the subconscious. And immediately I was just like, oh, they did a live soundtrack of the Blasphemous soundtrack. That's fucking sick. Awesome.
Interesting.
Love that. But yeah, I when we get into it, I can talk about my philosophies of professional wrestling. It's an entire thing.
I can only imagine. I mean, again, given how you like to project yourself, I can only imagine just your thought process, or just your thoughts when it comes to wrestling in general. It's gonna be a fun chat. I can already tell you that right now.
I apologize ahead of time.
Look, you do not need to apologize anytime whatsoever. Like, I have always had that kind of like laid back mentality when it comes to this podcast or whatnot. Like, look, I am not the driver in this car. I'm more like the passenger with like the roadmap. You're the one that's driving. Like, we can go off on whatever tangent and talk about whatever thing we want to, and like I'll eventually get us back to the stuff I may have wanted to talk about. But like, you're driving, you're leading the way. I'm just letting things roll.
Bet.
All right, Noah. Before we really do get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may.
Absolutely.
Let's say you get to go to a deserted island on your own accord. It's just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to really enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations. I shouldn't say deserted, more like a little personal B&B paradise away from society for a little bit. To make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
The entire series of Gurren Lagann.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. Why is that the first thing that you think of? Why is it the go-to?
So for me, the series of Gurren Lagann is tied to me emotionally as a human being, as one of the corner points of both my philosophy of existence as a person, and also just as a good motivator.
Okay.
As somebody that deals with, I guess you could say, kind of like seasonal depression. Usually, that's something that I can put on that will like help pull me out of it, just because giant robots are cool, and also the everlasting present spirit of humanity is also really sick.
Absolutely, especially in today's society where both of those things would be greatly appreciated. Both the ever-loving thing of humanity and also who wouldn't love a giant robot? Like, come on.
it's it's very much it is my comfort series when I need hope inside to be injected. But yeah, absolutely, just Gurren Lagann, I think.
That is honestly an extremely valid answer more than anything else. I mean, again, like I said, especially in today's society where we need that little bit of hope or whatnot, I can see why that's a good pick-me-up more than anything else. But regardless, Gurren that is your answer. You're logging that in.
Locked in hard.
Then if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You look fantastic in the merch we have at the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. Hailing from House DeVille in the Forgotten State, they are the Punk Rock Prima Dona, the Southeast Gay Gatekeeper, the Erotic Nightmare, the non-binary icon everyone should know, yet somehow they aren't over. Welcome to the podcast. Thank God for them. It's Noah Vale.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to be here. Like I kind of mentioned beforehand, if I even leave that part in, you're someone that I've been loving and admiring on social media just because, one, you're a fantastic wrestler on your own, but also like just with how unapologetically you that you are on just every single instance. That like that's the thing that I love and admire, like the authenticity that comes with being Noah Vale, I guess, at that point.
I do the best that I can.
And it's a great job that you've done so far. But before we really get into the stuff you are doing nowadays, being unapologetically you, I want to learn more or less the origin story of Noah, or at least, the artist behind Noah in a way. What exactly got you interested in art, and in particular, what got you interested in wrestling in the first place?
Ooh, so the thing that got me into art, so from a very young age, I was always a writer,
Okay.
particularly like fiction and so on and so forth. So I think the first things that really got me into art was just learning that, fantasy and fiction media existed in the first place. The first series that really comes to mind is the Camp Half-Blood series.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, that was one of the first ones where I was like, oh, wait, no, actually, this is really cool. And that was the first book series that I ever consciously remember really, really diving into and really, really like tearing apart. And then afterwards, obviously, I just got so infatuated with world building and the different creators of the worlds that I was interested in. From a variety of different pieces of media. As most people who would know anything about me know that I'm very obsessed with certain key pieces of media.
Just a few here and
As
there.
far as yeah, just a few. As far as professional wrestling, my first inclination towards professional wrestling, I could say, for me, falling in love with it, was I had recently kind of fallen down a rabbit hole with one of my close friends from high school.
Okay.
We had just caught ourselves watching like Raw on a random day while we were on a Skype call, and we just like started making that like a regular habit for us. It became like a weekly thing that we did.
Right.
And I got really into the Nexus.
Yes.
Like really, really into the Nexus because they were the coolest fucking thing ever.
Of course they were.
And as I got into the Nexus, I sort of started to look into the origins of some of these guys and where they came from with NXT. And, you hear the rhetoric of, them wrestling in the bingo halls and independent wrestling and stuff like that so often that the curiosity is only natural.
Right.
So for me, I started looking into dudes, specifically PJ Black, because I think PJ Black was my queer awakening, but we're gonna put a pin in that, um, because we haven't unpacked that fully yet.
Right.
But PJ Black, super fucking sick. Justin Gabriel in the Fed, for anybody who doesn't know.
Right.
I started looking into him and his background of wrestling in South Africa and the small stuff that he did in the States. And then from there, started looking into the independents with Daniel Bryan and, some of the other members of the Nexus. And I discovered independent wrestling from that. And then the match that I will always credit that got me into independent wrestling was Kota Ibushi, Low-Ki versus Finn Balor for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship.
Oh.
The match that made me want to be a wrestler was Samurai Del Sol versus AR Fox at CZW in a fucking high school gym.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, those guys are really fucking good, and they're doing this in a goddamn gym.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can do this.
Exactly.
For sure.
I was gonna say, a little aside, I love how the awakening for you to be a wrestler or whatnot was Samurai Del Sol was like one of the people in that match or whatnot, because as people will know, he would go on to the Fed to be known as Kalisto. And honestly, when I first got into wrestling, that was my first wrestler that like I was like, oh, you are incredible, I want to like see more of you, and I want to see more of this like wrestling thing.
It's so the stuff that him and AR Fox were doing together was genuinely some of the most insane things I've ever seen. I thought for the longest time, my favorite finishing move for years was the low main pain.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it was the most insane thing I'd ever seen in my life. AR Fox is truly, when all is said and done, going to be heralded as one of the great innovators of professional wrestling for this generation.
Absolutely.
And I'm super, super stoked on that. I'm super, super stoked on that legacy.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, given like what they did then and then what they're even doing nowadays, like all those wrestlers they even listed.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God.
The fact that AR Fox is still doing
was...
the fact that AR Fox is still doing this stuff as if like, he's just starting this stuff more than anything else, like so smooth with
Hasn't been doing it for like 20 years. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's insane. It's insane. But yeah, I would say that those are the two matches for me that really kind of locked in my want to be a professional wrestler and really kind of made me think that pursuing this was a possibility as a whole.
Okay.
Obviously, and then of course there's the rabbit hole of me getting deeper into things, but those are my origin points.
Okay.
It all starts with Prince Devitt and Samurai Del Sol and AR Fox in a high school gym.
And Camp Half-Blood. No, honestly, like those are all like really good. I love kind of the intricacies and how those all kind of more or less like lead into each other. Like for example, the writing stuff that you're talking about. If you look at wrestling, there's a lot of storytelling, a lot of world building that goes into that. So
100%.
So the fact that was a good like foundation for what would eventually become the incredible Noah Vale that I'm talking to today, and then obviously some of the incredible wrestlers and the incredible wrestling that you talked about. Like you list those names and people. You talk about like dream matches, like people will be talking about wanting to see those matches today. That's how good those matches were then compared
100%.
to now. I mean, who wouldn't want to see like again Kota Ibushi versus Prince Devitt, Finn Balor today more than anything else? Like, come on.
Exactly. They were amazing, and they were just throwing those out, and it was just for me that point of that era of professional wrestling from like I want to say maybe probably like 2012 to about 2015 2017 for me is like the golden era of wrestling, just because that's when the independents really got into a big boom, and they really became as close to mainstream as I think they ever had gotten in the past.
Yeah.
And it was just the stars of the future that we had then, the class of wrestlers that we had then on a national scale was just amazing.
Well, I mean, especially like back then, like that was probably the best time to be a fan of something other than the WWE since like the WCW days more than anything else. Like it was
easily,
cool.
yeah.
It was
easily.
cool. It was cool to love other things about wrestling and other wrestling promotions, and the fact that there was so much talent out there that eventually, WWE and other big promotions would eventually scoop up. Like it's a testament that some of those guys, again, in that golden era, are still going at it today and still like dominating on some of the biggest stages possible.
1,000%.
So I'm curious, like obviously we have like the awakenings, the thing that got you into wrestling in the first place, but when did it go from just like a love and admiration, something you thought about doing, to a passion and truly wanting to make it your career? Like when did it more or less click with you, be like, oh wait, I could be a wrestler?
Gosh, I think the more I started to look into it and the more I started to find in schools, the thing about me is that I'm very much someone who dedicates themselves to something once the hyperfixation sets in.
Yes.
And when the wrestling hyperfixation took me very I want to say towards the middle of my tenure in high school, around the time I was about a sophomore or so. And the more that I was, I was playing wrestling games, watching footage. I had my own like create a wrestler league that I was running. I was running storylines.
Nice.
I was figuring, doing the nerd shit, right? That
Right,
that
obviously.
totally would make and as I was kind of doing those things and finding them, I was like, I could just do this. And the more that I was involving myself in these prospects, because I'm very much an introverted person. People think that I'm an extrovert solely because of who I am. Absolutely not. I hate leaving the house. It's the worst thing.
Right.
Outside world is terrible. Inside world, fantastic. So for me, it was very much an insular experience of me experiencing these things and consuming the wrestling media and getting these ideas in my head. And once the idea pops into my head, it's very, very hard for me to get rid of it. And I could never shake the idea of like, well, if I was a wrestler, I'd want to do this move, or I'd want to do this, or it'd be a cool sequence to go this to this to this, or what if there was a wrestler that talked like this or had gear ideas like this. And at a certain point, it just got to it where in my head, it was, I don't think there was a moment. I think it was just always, no, I'm going to do this.
There you go.
How far I go is the unsure element of the situation. But I know I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And I know I'm going to give it my all because I have to get the idea out of my head.
Oh, yeah. No,
I have to put it to paper, have to put it to canvas. I have to get the idea out of my head.
Look, as someone that also deals with their own hyperfixations or whatnot, sometimes it's just like you think about this stuff over and over and just plays over and over and over again to a point where you just have to be like, if I don't do this, this is going to like be the end of me. Like this is going to take up every everlasting thought in my head. That's how
have to get it out.
That's how this podcast came to be, because I was always a person that loved to admire artists, but I wanted to see like more love and support for them in the first place. And after a while, it's just like, well, no one else is going to give them the platform. Fuck it, I'm gonna make a platform for them. I'm gonna give them an opportunity to talk about this shit. And
it's one thing that has followed me all throughout my career is the fact that I am continuously inundated with new ideas, and when those new ideas hit, usually it's something that I'm like, I gotta get this out of my system. And then the next idea comes, and then I gotta get that out of my system, and it just keeps happening to me. It's my curse.
But it's a curse and it's also a gift, because look at following those inhibitions, look at what they kind of led you to doing more than anything else.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse, obviously. So thinking, hey, I've got to absolutely do it is one thing. I imagine once you actually like decided to dedicate yourself to this and like start going, start training for this kind of stuff, that must have been a whole nother like journey on its own. Like even just getting your first steps into the ring and figuring out like how to get this, how to do this wrestling thing. Like that must have been what's the word I'm looking for? Like I said, it must be a journey on its own to get there.
It's training for me was a bit odd. Like I have a very what's the word I'm looking for? Odd training experience. Very
unique experience.
Yeah, let's call it that. I was trained at a place down here called the Academy of Wrestling Sciences as a part of a promotion called Definitive Wrestling International.
Okay.
When I had showed up, my training class was me and my good friend Tyler Kanai, and our trainer. The previous class had already graduated. It was maybe like a handful of people, 4 or 5. But it was, I remember the first day that we showed up, we thought that we had gotten the wrong address until we had gone inside and heard the ring as dudes were taking bump in the back.
Okay.
And I'm about 18, 19 at this point. My friend's dad gave me a ride, and we're walking into what is effectively an abandoned Kmart that has been converted into a flea market.
I get that vibe. I know exactly that kind of vibe that you're talking about.
we walk in and there's dudes with fishing lures and like old thrifting clothes and like a bunch of just random shit.
Right.
All of them over the age of like 75. It's a Sunday. We walk in, we go to the back, and there's the ring that's been set up, and that was my schooling experience. Some of my contemporaries down here in Florida, as the mecca of wrestling, would tell me about having crash pads, helmets, training dummies. We had none of that.
Yeah,
We
I
had
figured.
the most like old school experience that I can like ever like explain to people.
Mm-hmm.
It was me, a ring, my trainer, and if you fucked something up, you just got hurt.
Yep.
And after a while, Tyler graduated. I want to say maybe about a month or two after I had arrived. So my training class was me, effectively. Sometimes people would file in and they would give it a shot for a little bit, but then life would happen and they'd have to stop. But I was one of the more consistent ones for the year that I was there during my training. And then I graduated, and I want to say maybe year and a half afterwards, they ended up selling the building. And we ended up stop running our shows, and my school no longer existed.
So you were truly the last of your kind, at least when it comes to the fact that you're literally.
Oh, very literally, very literally. When I tell people about where I come from, usually, especially some of the newer kids, they have no idea what I'm talking about because they'll be like, "What the fuck is a DWI?"
Jesus.
But when I talk to some of the older cats and stuff like that about it, or even bring up the fact, like, yeah, no, I came from DWI. When I first graduated, it was met with like sneers and kind of like almost half-hearted looks, just because of my trainer has a tendency of rubbing some people the wrong way, because much like myself, he's very much unapologetically himself.
Gotcha.
And at that point, himself was a very angry man. But we would, I'd go to these different places. People would give me certain looks or so on and so forth. And it, in a way, sort of kind of fueled me in a sense. As a human being, I take a lot of pride in the places I come from and the places that have molded me in my experience for better or for worse.
Right.
And I think a good chunk of my motivation during the early stages of my career was very much so, you don't respect my training school, I'm going to prove to you why you should, because I came from there.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that kind of like that mentality of you don't respect me, I'm going to prove to you why you should. I think that's something that, especially if you look at like stuff that with how you trained then, especially with how you are nowadays, I think that's kind of a thread that's just constantly gone through your entire career so far.
Absolutely. I am very much as a human being and as an artist and as just somebody who has been lucky enough to live a good chunk of life. I understand fully that a lot of the things that I am are not viewed in a very positive way
Right.
in most of the continental United States. I am a black queer human being who is very outspoken about who they are.
Absolutely.
And I understand fully that in a lot of spaces that is met with either at the best of times ridicule, at the worst of times just outright violence and aggression. And my goal as a human being always is to ensure that I don't need you to like me. You're going to respect me for who I am.
Absolutely.
And you're going to respect me for how good at this that I am in whatever it is that I choose to be. The things that who I am is something that I have never had a lack of confidence about.
Okay.
And so other people's bigoted or harmful views, typically I don't see as being dangerous to myself. I simply just see it as a challenge. Like, okay, cool, I'm going to win you over. How long is it going to take?
Right. Like, because it's obviously, it's not gonna. For some people, it could be the instant that they see, oh wow, they've got something going, like they're legit or whatnot. But for other people, it's just gonna be like you're gonna be constantly like just basically going at them, being like, you will respect me. You do not have to like me, but you will respect me.
Eventually. It's something that I've done over the course of my career with the Forgotten State bit, as far as trying to bring prominence back to Florida in the independent scene, whether it's with my old training school, whether it's with just me as a human being, being a representative of the LGBTQ plus scene in professional wrestling. It's always something that it's like, these are who I am.
Yeah.
You're going to respect this. And if I have to beat the shit out of you to get you to that point, so be it.
Yeah. And I will say, like, that's one of the things I really do, like, truly admire about you and how you present yourself or whatnot, is that you don't back down from your identity, like, who you truly are. That is the loudest and proudest thing about you more than anything else. Like, how much did wrestling more or less help you, like, feel more comfortable with yourself more than anything else and be able to shout that stuff to the world?
Wrestling was something that over the course of my entire like career or whatever. Oh my god, there's so much cat hair on my leg. Over the course of my career, wrestling for me is more so about the journey than the destination.
Right.
Very early on in my career, I made the mental faculties of like, I'm probably not going to get signed. For television wrestling, an underweight queer black kid from the South, probably not looking for me to be on television anytime soon. So for me, it was more so about just enjoying the journey of professional wrestling. And I found as I was going through the journey, I was just learning more things about myself over time. Learning about my queer identity and learning about how I view myself. And kind of having those things introduced to me in the guise of, this is for the bit of professional wrestling. And then at a certain point you kind of realize, like, actually no, I'm not doing this for wrestling. This is actually something that I enjoy. This is just me.
Yeah.
And as those things would come through, if I can be comfortable enough to wear for like fucking 2 years, running around in a fishnet top and like tiny shorts and this very like androgynous appearance in front of crowds of strangers across the South, I don't think that it's too much of a concern of me if I want to go to Walmart in a skirt.
Yeah.
I don't think that I need to truly be too worried about that. If my friends can run around in their underwear wrestling other sweaty men, I think it's okay if I wear makeup. I think that me existing in the body and in the identity that I have and want for myself, I don't think that anything that I could do in real life would even compare to the weird shit that we do in professional wrestling.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for me, it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, if I'm already existing in this way, in this extreme, like, environment, I think it's okay if I do it in this non-extreme environment. I think it's all right. You know what I mean?
I think that's honestly, like, really, it's kind of wholesome in a way. Like, the fact that, like, wrestling made you more comfortable in your real life, like, self. Just be comfortable with, like, just wearing whatever you want, putting on makeup and such. Like, just being as true to yourself as you can be in the everyday life, instead of, like you said, you know, beforehand, like, with kind of the mentality that people always have with wrestling, kind of taking yourself and putting it up to 11 in a way, like,
exactly.
in the wrestling ring. Like, instead of just doing that, like, or along with doing that, you kind of also turned, like, the personal life up just a little bit, like, just up more to where you are truly more comfortable, you know, in your everyday life. That's really incredible to hear. I mean, I'm sure there's, I can't speak for everyone, but I can only imagine how many other wrestlers probably have that, like, similar mentality, you know, once they feel more comfortable with it.
It's so odd whenever I encounter like meeting other wrestlers, because it's for me, I find it's very much the opposite.
Oh, really?
Where I think it's something that it's a lot like drag in certain ways.
Yes.
Where you can have these very ostentatious and very over the top and campy expressions of self in this context, but then you go to your real life and you're shy and introverted and you're quiet and you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself. And I run into that a lot with a lot of wrestlers. Not to say that I am somebody that likes to draw too much attention to themselves, at least not on purpose.
Right.
But I find that a lot of the time with a lot of the wrestlers I know, they'll turn the dial up to 10 or 11 or 12 when they're in the ring, but then they get out of the ring. And if you even like try to get them to turn it up, maybe to like a 5 or a 6, it makes them so uncomfortable. And I'm thankful that I don't have that, and that was broken in me very early. But also, it's something that I think is cute in a lot of ways. Like I struggle to understand it because I'm like I previously just said, like, if you can turn it up to 11 here, why are you worried about what Susan in the grocery store thinks?
Exactly. Like, Susan, get your dozen eggs and go home. Like, I'm out here just living my life, you know?
Exactly.
Nah, goodness. I will say, as someone that has interviewed both wrestlers and drag queens on this podcast, yeah, I get that mentality. I get that kind of sentiment. How some people, it's one of those, like, at least in the ring or on the stage, this is their opportunity to be as full as themselves as they want. They might, be more reserved at home and, like, save it up, but it's like, it's their indulgence. It's the thing that helps them enjoy the experience a little bit more.
There's a thing in comics where oftentimes people will say that Bruce Wayne is the mask for Batman.
Right.
That's kind of how I think some wrestlers kind of see their personas. Their persona is the real them, but their real life self is the mask that they put on to hide that. And I don't know, it's never clicked in my brain.
No, I can understand how that can be a mentality sometimes, but obviously, different strokes for different folks. And for you, obviously, like, you are no avail. There's no, separating that, one form or fashion when it comes to, real life, the work self versus the shoot self. There's no way of separating those two,
Very true, very true, very true.
And, like, especially when it comes to how you do present yourself, like, I've got to say, you have got to be one of the most, like, vibrant, fashionable wrestlers that I have seen out there more than anything else. I love your attire, and I love how confident you are yourself when you put yourself out there in the ring. Like, all the names that I listed in the intro or whatnot, those are even just a fraction of some of the incredible nicknames you've been able to put forth or whatnot. Like,
my favorite will always be the People's Tramp.
The People's Tramp. I did not hear that one. That's perfect.
big anywhere that I'm champion, I always use that one, and it's my favorite one.
Oh my god, that I'm gonna say that in the intro, like the pre-recorded intro of the podcast or whatnot, because I need people to hear that one. That is a great one more than anything else. But regardless, like, I have to imagine, when it comes to wanting to present yourself, like, what's the thought process like when it comes to how you want to present yourself in the ring? Like, is there really much of a thought process?
So to go into, like, how the development of No Avail happens, I think of No Avail in, at least now, it changed from when I was younger. When I first had started to develop the persona around COVID, up until maybe the first 3 years of my career, I was kind of just, around, just doing stuff, having matches, just trying to get my feet wet and just kind of figure out, like, how do you be a wrestler? What am I doing? How do I defeat this imposter syndrome I'm dealing with every day?
Oh, yeah.
And COVID happened, wrestling shut down, and there was a very tough moment for myself where I had to sit down and really think, like, okay, I could lose all this in an instant. None of this is guaranteed. I need to really work at and think about what it is that I want to present. What do I want to do? And I need to just go for what I want in professional wrestling. And the development of No Avail happened because I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm not great with thinking of things in terms of a wrestling context at this point, just because I don't know what professional wrestling wants. No one knows what professional wrestling wants.
Right.
You have to just kind of present something, and then the audience will like it or dislike it, right? You have to give the audience what they want because they don't know what they want. And the only thing that I could really equate it to, I really like fighting games. And I really like character design, cartoons, things of that nature. And when it came to the design of No Avail, I sort of just sat down and was like, okay, if I was to design myself as an anime villain, as a video game antagonist, if I was to design myself as this, what would that look like? And from there, I just started taking the different elements of all the different things that I like and I started putting them into a blender and just sort of making the evolutions of no avail. And we've been through quite a few over the course of this. It's been like a Pokemon at this point. And finally getting to the point where we're at now, it became something where it was like, well, what things about myself do I want to bring forward? I spent a lot of my time in the punk scene when I was younger, and even now.
Okay.
I was always making my own like custom battle vests and custom battle jackets. I was always very much into sort of the DIY-ness of like punk fashion and streetwear, where it was more so alterations of clothing, customizing your own clothing, and sort of building your own look and style purely uniquely to yourself. And I effectively just started treating No Veil as my own battle vest. I got my my tights. I started sewing patches on them that I had lying around because I hadn't put them on anything yet. Okay. I started to view myself from a character design perspective of if I had a an action figure and it was hanging up in the store, would I buy an action figure of me? And I think that that's something that a lot of wrestlers and performance artists, at least in this industry, don't necessarily think of. And for me, that's the biggest thing. Do I want to buy, I don't know, a dude wearing black kick pads, black trunks, and black wrist tape hanging up in an action figure in the toy aisle, or do I want Drew McIntyre with a fucking broadsword?
Yes, but like the only reason why I would get the other one is if it's like on sale for like $1 and I need a dummy to toss the Drew McIntyre one into if I was like playing around with it or whatnot or something along the lines of that, you know?
My point exactly. And so for me, when it came to that, everything in terms of character design for No Veil always comes back to if I saw myself in an action in the toy aisle, would I purchase my own action figure? If I saw myself in a video game, how would this character look if I were to distill myself down to like 4 colors and a silhouette? Mm-hmm. Would I be able to tell that this is No Avail? And then I just started having fun with it. I'm like, what if I had tights where I cut a leg off? What if I what if I wore makeup that matched the actual gear, and just things of that nature start rolling, obviously. But that's always the core tenet of my philosophy is, do I look cool enough to where if I saw myself in a toy aisle, I would buy myself?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think you absolutely nail that aesthetic like to a T. Like, I'm gonna make sure to put some photos of some of your gear up here when we're talking about this little thing. But like, if people are not instantly just in awe of just your look more than anything else, because to put it bluntly, like you slay. Like, there's no debate about that. Like, you every time you come out to that ring and you are the thing that everyone's gonna emphasize on for a moment, and then like. The look is one thing, but then how you're able to project yourself, how you're able to like, put yourself out there more than anything else is a completely other thing. Because I will say, when it comes to like your promos or like hype videos and stuff like that, Noah, you are easily top 3, if not the top promo person on the indies right now. I am not joking when I say that. Like, what's the thought process like for you when it comes to delivering a promo? I know you said you had kind of a love for writing early on, but how much of that kind of, really comes into how you want to, get a point across when you're trying to lay something down?
So my process with promo videos or just speaking in general is a lot of it is just purely the emotion that I'm feeling. Okay. Usually I'll have 1 or 2 little quippy things that I want to go to. Like, I might have something towards the end that I think is really clever or is really interesting, and I'll try to build the promo off of leading towards that moment. When I first started, a big thing, because I wasn't a very athletic kid. Mm-hmm. This is the first sport I've ever really done in my life. I would study the great promo masters because that was the thing I wanted to get good at. Like, yeah, I can't do backflips like Ricochet. I can't do the crazy stuff that Will Ospreay does. That's just not my wheelhouse. But there is something to be said about the fact that all of my favorite wrestlers are some of the best talkers in the business. Jake the Snake Roberts, Roddy Piper, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. I love a great technical wrestler like an Alex Shelley, a TJP, a Finn Balor. Those guys are fantastic. They're some of the people that I base my in-ring style on. But as far as talkers, give me a Michael P.S. Hayes, give me a Terry Gordy. Just let me listen to the way Roddy Piper constructs a statement and eloquence his point, because I think that most of the job in professional wrestling is talking people into the building. If they're watching your match, you're done. Like, that's you could shit the bed in the ring. We've already got their money. We're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But the talking aspect of professional wrestling for me is something that's so interesting, because there's so many different ways that you can go about it, so much creativity you can have just in the way that you present a statement, speak a statement. Roddy Piper going in on these almost crazy tangents that seemingly are nonsensical ramblings of a madman until he gets to the very last statement, and everything he said for the past minute and a half suddenly makes sense because it's been a long metaphor.
Exactly.
Jake the Snake talking in this very deliberate and emphatic statement to get every single syllable of the words and their meanings across to you, so you understand the severity of the situation that you put yourself into. Ric Flair continuously getting more and more insane as the frustration mounts in his head, because he's getting into that dark place that he has to get to become the Nature Boy. Mm-hmm. So whenever I speak about speak as No Avail, I kind of try to incorporate all of those things into it. No Avail is a very prideful and self-centered and vicious human being. So whenever it comes to speaking, there is a level of confidence within themselves until there's not. Right. And when there's not, then it's just the mad scramblings of somebody who is going to do whatever it takes to keep their self-esteem intact. Exactly. And I try to come with every promo with something sort of similar to that. Every opportunity to speak, for me, in my personal opinion, is a time for me to get to work and show why I'm so good at this.
I mean, you've done a good job with that, and then some, like, especially knowing kind of the legacy that is behind it or whatnot, like the appreciation for those of the past or whatnot, and how you more or less incorporate that with just how you truly feel. Again, going back to the emphasis of this conversation being like you being your absolute you, unapologetic you at the end of the day, like your emotions just kind of getting out there or whatnot until you have nothing else to say. It's just rambling like a mad person, because it's like, there is nothing that's going to stop me. Like you had said before, I'm going to make you respect me. I don't care what I have to say. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to be in that ring, and you are going to at least say, I don't care about No Avail, but you know what? I respect them because they said they did what they said they were going to do.
100%. Every single time.
And I mean, like, with that kind of mentality, especially with how No Avail has even evolved in the years that you've been wrestling or whatnot, you have done some really incredible stuff and gotten some really awesome opportunities more than anything else. It's gotta be surreal for you to think that, like, you've had a chance to go to so many different places that you may have never even thought was a possibility, being in, you know, the Forgotten State or whatnot in Florida more than anything else, and going to all these, you know, competing for championships that seemed like they were a completely out of this world opportunity for you in the first place. Like, does it feel surreal to know that, like, these opportunities are a reality for you?
It is incredibly humbling. It is very surreal, and I think the only reason I keep my head on straight is, one, the imposter syndrome, mm-hmm. And two, the consistent, like, tunnel vision that I have. I have a very bad habit where as soon as I complete something,
right,
it disappears from my mind. And then I'm like, what is the next thing?
Yep.
And this is horrifically toxic. Do not allow yourself, if you're listening to this, to form this mentality. It's not good. It's not good at all. Revel in your accomplishments. I'm just a crazy person who constantly needs to push forward because my brain doesn't work properly. But that's kind of the weirdness about the opportunities, getting to have the GCW title match with Effy, yes. Getting to have a match of the year contender with John Davis at River City Wrestling Con. The opportunities to, welcome Eric Stevens back to professional wrestling as his first match. Getting all of these things sent my way. The TNA Digital Media Championship with AJ Francis, my most hated enemy on the entirety of the planet.
Valid.
And all of these various things that I've gotten the opportunity to do, especially as just being an independent wrestler who doesn't work for a, let's say, mainstream super indie.
Right.
It is incredibly surreal. It's very humbling, and it does, I think, in a lot of ways, speak to the spirit of what independent wrestling is supposed to be, or at the very least, the spirit of independent wrestling as I try to put forth in my art form. And it is something that when all is said and done and I actually get the opportunity to look back and think about what I've done, whenever the hell that's going to be, it's going to be a very, very fulfilling moment, I think.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially with someone that deals with the kind of obstacles that are thrown your way with you. I mean, we kind of hinted at before, but especially as someone that is queer, black, wrestling primarily in the South, where that both those things alone on their own are already obstacles, but combined is like an entire like hurdle on its own. Like it's gotta be so weird to even think that like not only are you pushing past these obstacles that people are trying to put in front of you, but you're coming out the other side like looking fantastic doing it.
It's it's something that I try to impart on any of the young kids when I meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's always going to be people that in the industry don't necessarily agree with who you are, what you are, or what have you, or even that the industry itself may work against you, and that's okay. So long as you continue to perform and continue to be yourself, there is a certain point where you will simply just become undeniable, even if the entire environment around you does not immediately welcome you. There's a certain point where it's just hard to deny that you're really fucking good at this. And I've seen it with those who've come before. It's the same thing that Effy told me. It's the same thing that Dark Sheik told me. It's the same thing that all of these people over the course of my career have repeatedly told me, one, about myself and about just how this is. It's just, they will hate you one day, and then eventually they will see it, and they will start to suddenly love you the next.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's, I don't know. I think it would be a bit more daunting for people, and I know it is for some of my contemporaries and some of the younger people that I speak with.
Right.
But for me, I've always, I don't know. The easiest way for me to put it is just I've been black my entire life in Florida. There's not much you can realistically do that's gonna bother me.
Right.
I know I'm great. I just, whether or not you agree is completely superfluous to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely weird. It's difficult for sure. But can't stop me from being me.
Exactly.
At the end of it.
Exactly. I mean, no one said that, like, dealing with these kind of circumstances or whatnot was going to be easy in the first place. Like, if they did, they're lying to you, like, point blank. Like,
100%.
so the fact that you get the chance to really not only go out there despite the circumstances and put on arguably some of the best wrestling that you can, and give people like a truly unforgettable experience in one form or fashion. I mean, I know for me, like the moment that I think was like the ultimate like moment of that was whenever I was doing my research for you. I was watching the match that you had at Retinal Pro Wrestling versus Finesse, being part of the first black LGBTQ plus main event in Alabama. In that match, like that must have been even weird to even think, wait, that's actually a thing. Like that's wow.
Which is it's funny because I didn't realize that's what was happening until like we were about to go through the curtain.
Oh wow.
like we had, Retinal is a fantastic promotion. I love going there. And it it's always strange for me, just because Florida is such a petri dish that you can you have your pockets. Each part of Florida is kind of like almost like a different part of the country in and of itself. North Florida, obviously closer to the traditional idea of what the South is, whereas Central Florida for me is a very progressive area and a very metropolitan part of Florida. So going to Alabama is it's as South can get, right?
Yeah.
And to be in a locker room surrounded by so many LGBT people, so many people of a variety of different backgrounds, and to have a fan base and a crowd that is so accepting is truly phenomenal. That day was super odd because we had a new carload come down from another state. I can't think of where from right now. And in the car was a black queer ref.
Okay.
And I as they come out of the whatever, I asked the promoter Max. I was like, Max is a ref, and Max was like, I don't know, who do you want? So I point to him, and I wasn't aware until afterwards, and I was super stoked on it because I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is just a thing that we just did.
Right.
It was truly one of the most unforgettable experiences that I think I've ever had, and I'm very thankful I was able to do it with Finesse. I'm very thankful I was able to do it at Retinal, and I'm very thankful that all of, I guess, that promotion's fan base was so accepting of two queer kids from the South bashing each other in the head with steel chairs.
Yep. No, absolutely. And also like baking sheet. I gotta say, I'm sorry, those baking sheet shots or whatnot, like the cooking sheets or whatnot, those are probably some of the like hardest cooking sheet shots I've ever seen or whatnot. Like you guys did not hold back on that one.
Well, I hate Finesse, so
No,
obviously I have to give him brain damage.
Yeah, brain damage. Can I also just say that promo that you gave afterwards when it was all said and done, that like impassioned like speech that you had at the end or whatnot, that is hands down like my favorite moment of yours, like so far. Like
thank you.
Like the amount I was gonna say the amount of passion and the amount of like vitriol more than anything else that you had and that little bit right there, making sure that everyone knows like I don't care who the hell challenges that. Make sure that like they know that this is legit. Like you are legit more than anything else.
I have a weird thing when I go to other parts of the country and I run into other queer wrestlers. It's a pretty consistent thread that runs through professional wrestling is the fact that they very often aren't respected by their peers of cishet nature, or just the industry as a whole, simply because, I mean, I get it, 10 years ago we would have been, a parody. 20 years ago we would have been a joke. 30 years ago they wouldn't have let us in the business.
Exactly.
That's just the truth. And I always run into them and I always tell them the same thing that was told to me is when you get in the ring with them, you hit them as hard as you physically can so that they understand that you are a human being in the wrestling business with them and you are not afraid of them or anyone else that will step in front of you, that you are a professional wrestler. And in the South, I think it is a much harder fight, as we've previously discussed, just because of, the nature of existing in the South.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe I'll catch heat for this. Who cares? I feel that there is a consistent thread of unity and togetherness that is always told. And while that is necessary, that we need community, that we need unity, that we need togetherness as a collective, I think also the first prides were riots. Yes. And we need to remind people that the first prides were riots and that we are fully capable of ensuring that you will respect us no matter the cost.
Absolutely.
And I think that if someone has to be the voice of reminding these young queer wrestlers that are coming up in the scene, that sometimes you gotta brain a motherfucker so that they understand what we are and who you are as a person, not to take you lightly, then so be it. And yeah, I think that I don't know. In my way, it was a response to the same sort of speeches that are given by my dear friend Effie at the end of his big gay brunches, because I think that him as a unifying icon is one of the most powerful and impactful things that we have as a community. Um, but also sometimes in the South, you gotta set shit on fire.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Like point blank. Sometimes that has to be the case. Like I'm someone that lives around like Athens, Georgia or whatnot. Like I'm in the heart of some of that, BS sometimes. Like I see that stuff here and there. I've gone to Florida like several times. My mom used to live around Orlando. So I got what you were talking about. You were saying like, hey, North Florida's like this, Central Florida's more or less like this, and like, yeah, there are some shitty people in the South. There's no getting around that. There's shitty people everywhere, but especially when it comes to the South, like you said, sometimes you need to set shit on fire to let them know, hey, yeah, again, you may not love me, but at the very least, you gotta respect me. Like, give me the bare
Absolutely.
minimum respect. And I mean, especially with that speech, and like you were talking about with Effie, like especially Effie. For God's sakes, there's a reason why I'm wearing the shirt right now. Like Effie is one of the truest motherfuckers that are out there. And also a dream guest I would love to get on this podcast if he's ever down to do interviews for podcasts or whatnot. But regardless, like especially the fact that you two are even in the same orbit more than anything else, let alone like getting the chance to work together on such incredible stuff. Like you said, getting to wrestle him, for the world, GCW World Heavyweight title, being able to be a part of the big gay brunches, the big gay, Thanksgiving and such. That has to be surreal more than anything else. Like it has to be, I guess it must be almost reaffirming at the end of the day, knowing that like you two are kind of in the same orbit and you get to work together on such incredible stuff and be a part of such incredible, potentially groundbreaking opportunities that, like you said, 10, 15, 20 years ago would have been laughed at.
It's it's a really cool feeling. Getting to getting to be acknowledged by my community is always something that I'm like super stoked on, and I really cannot state enough how important those things are,
Mm-hmm.
nor can I state enough how important it is to feel that sense of community. And I still think it's super weird that for people they will put me in like that same echelon with like a Sheik or an Effie or like these other like icons, and it's real fucking weird. Like it's a real weird thing. Um, but it's something that I definitely think is very cool, and I'm very excited to see where the future takes. Um,
Absolutely.
I I like that each region of the country has its own, somebody that they can, somebody that can rally them, and that's a really cool thing for me. I'm very honored to be in the position that I'm in.
Absolutely. And honestly, hey, I think you deserve to be in that kind of echelon at this point with how you've been able to put forth yourself. I mean, how many of those people that you talked about, how many Effies or Dark Sheik can say that they wrestled for a title for a major company like TNA, like you did, going up against AJ Francis for the TNA Digital Media Championship? I mean, not many of them can say that.
It's super weird. It's just my career is just that bag of random things happening. It's just fucking. I like my friends will just be like, "Hey, do you want to wrestle here?" And then the next thing I know, I'm fucking trending on the internet, and I'm like, "Why? Like, what are we doing? Like, how did this happen?" Um, but yeah, it's definitely something that I think is very odd, and there are times for sure where I'll have those moments of like self doubt, of course, where it's like, "Hey, man, why is everyone think I'm in this bracket of professional wrestler when like I really haven't done anything?" And then a moment like this will happen where someone reads the resume out to me, or I reflect for like 2 seconds and I'm like, wait a minute, actually, hold on a second, I've
Yeah.
done some pretty cool shit. Um, um, but like it's all just wrestling. It's such a random beast that you kind of just go with the punches and just go where it takes you.
Right. No, absolutely. No, trust me, I could get that because especially with how wrestling can be. It's very hard sometimes to kind of take a step back and kind of admire it, because you always got to focus on what's next, what's the next date, what's my next match, what's the next
Yep.
opportunity that I get. So I can see why for you, like especially kind of the mentality you've already had, it's kind of hard for you to think at times, oh wait, why are people even like supporting me? I'm just out here doing my thing. I'm just out here being no avail. And then you take that, you get an opportunity to take that step back. And you're like, oh, that makes sense.
A little bit, yeah. I am continuously in a strange position of not understanding why anybody is like excited to wrestle me or any of these other things, and it always surprises me every time it happens. But it happens so often that I should be used to it, right? But I'm totally not.
All right.
Any time that somebody is ever like, oh yeah, I'm such a big fan, I've heard of you, I've watched your, but yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not good.
Well, I mean, like,
I
I was gonna say, like, when it comes to wrestling, it just reminds me of a quote that Bryan Danielson gave recently or whatnot. Because someone had asked him, like, is like the WrestleMania 30 main event still like your biggest moment that you've ever had or whatnot? And he's just like, well, no, because like in that moment there were other things I wish had happened or whatnot, but I didn't get the chance to do so. Like, obviously it was surreal or whatnot, but obviously like the more recent moment, what was it, All In London or whatnot, like the opportunity to wrestle like that, like. It's that thing that was more recent and obviously a lot more ideal or whatnot. So like for wrestlers, it's obvious, as much as cool as it would be to admire like the big moment or this cool opportunity that you have, you always got to focus on what next. You always got to keep moving forward.
Exactly. It's just the mentality of being in an art form where it's consistently pushing forward, and it's very much a gig economy sort of situation, but also still your performance art, where it's something may look big on the outside to you as a as a fan or as somebody who's watching or whatever, who's not involved in it directly. But to us, it might just be like, okay, cool, this is another day at the office, and then the thing that doesn't matter to the fan might be super important.
Mm-hmm.
For me, one of my most important matches on an emotional level for me was a triple threat I had at Mills with my friends Leroy Shogun and Iki
Okay.
of the Thousand Fangs. And for anyone else, that's just a random triple threat on a show. But for me, that's me wrestling two people who were instrumental in helping me to become a better wrestler on a technical level, who I spent months and years training with until 2 a.m. trying to become a better wrestler so that I could fill in the gaps in my training, and who were in the same way mentors and rivals to me over the course of my career, and finally getting to wrestle both of them after never having gotten to wrestle either of them for years. For me, that's something that's more important than any fucking random championship match or
Right.
some um but those are the strange idiosyncrasies of being the performer versus being the watcher.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, trust me, there's a lot of fans out there that again can watch so many different moments and have their own different connection compared to you actually being in there. I mean, everyone's, it's everyone has their own opinion, everyone has their own mind frame, everyone has their own experience, and your experience obviously being in the business compared to someone who's only like watched it is obviously going to be different, because not everyone's going to be able to step in those ropes and even take the single bump, let alone like the 15-20 minutes worth of bumps that it takes that match can last, if not longer.
100%. 100%. It's a very different beast.
Yes, absolutely. I also wanted to like quickly bring this up or whatnot. Like, it's gotta be really cool to also know that like your peers, like, you're so beloved to the point to where you get to be on like major lists out there. Like, it's gotta be it's gotta be really surreal to think that you're number 77 on the Black Wrestlers 500, and then number 67 on the Queer Wrestler 200. Like, the fact that you get to be among the echelon of so many incredible wrestlers like that, like you said, it's gotta be so weird.
It's like, and I'll look at it and I'll see these things and I'll be like, okay, cool, where's Kofi? And then like Kofi will be under me, and I'm like, what like what are we doing?
Yeah, like I would say the Black Wrestler one, like some of the names that I saw that you were even above, you were above Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Mia Yim, fucking
Like,
R-Truth.
what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, but yeah, it's and obviously, of course, it's the opinion of one person or a panel of people,
Right.
but it's, again, it's just a really weird thing, because for me, from my perspective, wrestling for me is always something that I have taken on an introspective and a very introverted way. It's never been something where I've been too concerned with what the larger populace surrounding me is doing. I'm just making art for the sake of making art and doing the cool things that I want to do because I think that they're cool. And if I don't think it's cool, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And knowing that I am perceived is a constant issue for me as a wrestler and as a human being, because I don't know how many or what is perceiving me. So when I end up on these lists or I move them down, in my brain it's just like a leaderboard on a video game.
Right.
Like, these are imaginary numbers that I'm just like, oh cool, I bet it'll be awesome to be in the top 50 next year. But I don't grasp the fact that there are 150 other human beings who are real human beings, who this, it's such a weird experience. And it's so odd. The longer that I do this, the more I find myself being respected by my peers, which is super cool. But also, like, there's got to be somebody else. Like, there's got to be somebody fucking more accomplished. There's got to be somebody with much better like criteria. Like, we've got to up the standards here, guys. It can't be me. It can't be me.
And yet they say that you aren't over. I mean, come on. When did you I have to ask about the no avail isn't over thing. When did you decide to more or less like embrace that and make that like a turnaround thing? Because obviously, like, people will argue that you're definitely over more than anything else. But when did you decide to more or less like take that and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna run with this. Yeah, you're right. No avail isn't over. So what?
So my brother Atherin, I was having a conversation with him because I when I do my promos, specifically when I do the promos that are, your typical like highlight things or whatever, I don't like to do that. I like to be a little bit more creative.
Right.
So I was working on this concept of an idea, and I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to go about it. And I was talking with Atherin, and I was like, hey man, I'm trying to come up with an idea for this promo. I kind of have an idea. I want to do something that's not really a highlight, but it's me talking about and extolling the virtues of why you should book No Avail. And for a very long time when I would do my captions, because I am a self-deprecating human being, I would always sort of black out my eyes and put like a little thing of no avail isn't cool or no avail isn't this or whatever.
Right.
Just because it made me feel like I was being less self-reverential if I were to insult myself while also promoting me doing the cool thing. I'd be like, okay, this makes me look like less of a dickhead. So I asked Atherin, and Atherin was like, well, why don't you take those and just do that? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he started talking to me, and he basically explained the premise of, yeah, just tell people like all the things that you very clearly are, because you are these things. I didn't know those things. I was very insecure. And make that the promo. So I ended up cutting the Don't Book No Avail promo, and I needed something good for the ending, and I was like, well, people would tell me, they'd be like, oh yeah, you're super cool, you're very over, whatever. And by my own standard, I'm not over at all. I've never been over. Over is like children are coming up to me in the streets asking me to like sign their t-shirts. You know what I mean? Like, over is I get like waved through the airport and I skip TSA because they know I'm the world's heavyweight champion.
Right.
Like Ric Flair was over. You know what I mean? Like Dusty Rhodes was over. They still make socks about Macho Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, that's kind of that's over. Like, what I am is like not even anywhere close to that. If I walk into random promotion in X state that I've never been to, there is a very low chance anyone knows what the hell a no avail is. So it just kind of became this thing where I was like, yeah, no avail isn't over, as both a statement of like kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but also as me stating like, no, I'm not over. I'm going to continue doing the work until I am, but I'm not right now. Little reverse psychology thing. It's just kind of cheeky. Yeah. It's cute.
It's very cheeky. Plus, it leads to some really good merch. I'll be honest with you.
Thank you. But yeah, it's evolved over time for sure. Where now it's kind of lost that sort of like self-deprecating aspect of it. Where now it's very much an almost sort of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, call to arms kind of thing. Yeah, no avail isn't over.
Yeah.
No avail isn't over. Are you sure about that?
Exactly. It's kind of that same level as like the effy is fine thing or whatnot.
Yes.
That layer of like I guess kind of irony or whatnot, or like kind of again like the inside joke when it comes to the true fans of you, or the people in the community that really love you more than anything else.
Which is all I want.
There you go. Also, I meant to ask this a lot earlier in the episode or whatnot, but who had the light bulb idea of going with No Avail as your ring name?
I panicked before my debut because my trainer had told me that I was debuting maybe a week before I was.
Oh.
And I came up with a list of 5 or 6 names. I had made the choice to go with a specific name, and then when we came to like my music playing, I'm standing at the curtain, he's about to ring announce me, he stopped for a minute and was like, oh shit, I didn't ask your name, what's your name? I couldn't think of anything in that moment that I'd written down, so I just remembered a random name that I saw on like DeviantArt or something. and I was just like, no avail. And I tried to change it once, and they were all like, that's not your name. Your name's Noah. And now I can't change it.
I mean, to be fair, it's a genius name, like, if you think about it, like, for more than 2 seconds, obviously. But also, like, that moment of panic, just being like, I get that mentality. I get that vibe.
I have a running theory, and it has been proven correct 10 out of 10 times. It takes a wrestler 6 months of meeting me before they figure out my name as a pun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I would not be. Yeah, you know what? Like you said, you kind of confirmed it. I am not surprised by that. I imagine there's probably at least some people that are watching this episode who may have never even heard about you, and the instant you say that, they'll pause the episode, take a few seconds, and go, "Oh my god, how did I miss that?"
It happens consistently whenever a commentator will use the phrase something something and to no avail. I will always end up getting it sent to me. Yep. And usually it will always be my friends being like, hey, look, they said your name. They referenced you. And I'm like, no, that's just a phrase that is used. That's not my name. Sorry.
Yep. Although it wouldn't be great if someone says that at one point, it's like, to no avail, and then all of a sudden they hear your music hits and you come out to the ring.
These are things that I can only hope for, but I need someone with foresight to allow me to do just bits for the rest of my career. Wait till once I hit the 10-year mark, Bit City.
There you go. Also, I just thought about this. I have to say this now because otherwise I'm going to forget or whatnot. Whenever I say your music hits the ring, I hope it's sticky. Like, because as you can clearly see from my background with the Tyler the Creator poster right here and whatnot, I'm a huge Tyler fan. So, like, I heard your theme, I'm like, oh, I'm in there like swimwear.
It's really weird how, like, fast everyone was like, this is your theme music forever. You can't change it. Because, like, I didn't realize how, when I originally picked it for my theme music. So, I beforehand, I used Tia Tamara by Doja Cat, right, and ran into a couple snafus because me and Jay Vidal would end up on a lot of shows and we both used the same music. Mm-hmm. So I was on a show with Jay in Fort Myers, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give Jay Tia Tamara because they're a guest in this house. I want Jay to have his music. So I asked one of my friends, I was like, what do you think I should use? And they were just like, why don't you just use Sticky? And I was like, that's a long ass intro. And they were like, just cut the intro. And I was like, yeah, I guess. And I used it, and probably top 3 biggest pops I think I've had in my career. And after I used it there, I used it for the match with Effy, and then and like it became a thing where like every time I would use it, everyone was like, hey, so you're coming out to Sticky now, right? And I would just get to I hadn't been to, and they'd be like, oh, your theme music is Sticky, and I'm like, how do you all know this? What's going on? So yeah, there is a Illuminati style cabal of people that are ensuring that every time I come through the ropes that Sticky plays.
Look, to be fair, it's a song that fucks. Like it fully.
Oh, it slaps. It's crazy.
Like again, like this, I have the Chromacopia poster up here. That album is like my favorite album by here. Like point blank period. Like I love Igor and Flower Boy stuff, but like Chromacopia is great. I even went to the Chromacopia concert in Atlanta earlier this year when he came by, and yeah,
goal is eventually, if I ever have a reason that I need to be gone for a very long period of time, I want to come out to Thought He Was Dead so bad.
Yes!
So bad.
Yes!
So bad. It's so good. Every time I hear the schoolboy Q verse, I just start doing the Shawn Michaels strut because I'm like, yeah, this is the vibe.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, it's that. Yeah, I don't know why. Hopefully, there isn't a reason why you would need to be away from wrestling for a long time. But if that is the case, I better see that as like the return. Watch, like you're not even like announced for that show, and that song starts playing. People are like, "Oh, I wonder who it is." And then you come out, and it's like you said the Sticky was the biggest pop. That would be your biggest pop right there.
Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a good song. I dig it. I dig it for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been talking a lot about just the incredible opportunities and the incredible stuff you've been able to do. Like even taking a step back and thinking to like how you were, from starting out just loving writing and then getting into Monday Night Raw with like the Nexus being like the coolest thing possible to here you are right now, being a really incredible force on the indie wrestling scene more than anything else. Does it surprise you more or less how far you've been able to develop as an artist?
Um, it it doesn't surprise me that I've been able to develop this far. It surprises me that I have been able to take my philosophy of how to create art and how to exist in an art space this far. Especially in professional wrestling. It's not that I'm surprised that the art I'm making is, by other people's standards, good. Um, it is a surprise that a weird punk kid who's very anti-establishment and very unapologetically of their own belief system has been able to find this much success in an industry that is notorious for changing people at the core and allowing humans to compromise their morals for success. This professional wrestling is a meat grinder in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And I think that the fact that I have been allowed to continue to move forward, and I'm not going to say I haven't been grinded, I absolutely have.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that I have been able to keep my core of who I am as a person, my beliefs, is very shocking. Very shocking.
Absolutely. And again, that's just what you have been able to do. Like I can only imagine for you, like what's the hope, what do you at least hope to accomplish as you keep going down this path? Obviously, you've been doing this thing for less than 10 years at this point, Lord knows how much you're, relatively speaking, you're still really you're both a veteran but also like really young in this industry. Like it's this weird middle ground more than anything else. But like what do you hope to accomplish the more you keep going down this path?
Oof. That's the question I always hate.
Valid.
I don't have the traditional goals, right? Because for a lot of people, it's I want to make this my career. I want to get on TV. It's I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I don't. I like hanging out with my spouse. I like hanging out with my dogs. I don't want to do any of that shit. I think for me, the goal has always been to inject and see the independence, see the level of artistry and the level of commitment to the bit that I saw when I fell in love. I want to bring that spirit of independent professional wrestling back, not a pipeline to get you into, any major promotions, not a pipeline to get you on TV, not to simply have you just try to please these secretive fucking snake people in a boardroom somewhere that you've never met and don't care about who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I want national recognized independent wrestling traveling superstars. I want fucking bangers in high school gyms. I want the love of the game. I want independent wrestling to feel like independent wrestling. I want the acknowledgement of this to be a punk rock form of the sport and the art form that I love, and I want that philosophy to continue to exist. I want there to be beacons of hope for the young generations of wrestlers that maybe you don't make it to the big stages, but you can do a lot of cool shit that you never thought that you would be able to. And I want that feeling, that spirit, and that energy of wrestling that I loved when I was younger to continue to live on. And not saying it doesn't,
Right.
but I looked up to your Colt Cabanas, your Young Bucks. I looked up to your Kennys, and I looked up to your Adam Coles. I looked up to the guys who were like independent for life. Those were our dudes, and they were wrestling every weekend in a shitty gym sometimes, and on Sinclair Broadcasting, Ring of Honor TV,
Yep.
putting on disgusting bangers for the love of the game. And that's my goal. I just want to make sure that doesn't die, I guess.
That's honestly a good thing to shoot for and admire for, because at the end of the day, the love of it more than anything else should be the thing that shines most when it comes to what you're doing. And I think with what you have been able to do so far, you've set up at least a good precedent for that to continue to be the thing at the end of the day. But if I may, for this next question, Noah, what if we go just a little, above and beyond, if I may? Because, Noah, I want to give you, more or less, the dream scenario. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come up to you and I'm like, look, Noah, we have seen the incredible work and the incredible artistry you have on display week in and week out whenever you get the chance to showcase it. We know there's some incredible stuff here. You just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to get you to that point. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than should be possible. We really should be giving back to certain communities, especially the LGBTQ plus community, especially in the South. Make sure that they have a safe place to be and all that stuff like that. We'll get to them later. We promise. We pinky promise that, or fingers crossed, however you want to do it. We will take care of them. But right now, we are focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the Dream Noah Vale project?
Oh, gosh. I think the Dream No Avail project. If I had years to develop any semblance of being able to draw, I think I'd probably want to start an animation studio.
Okay. That's honestly a good thing to aspire for, especially these days with how animation's going.
I think that's my. I think that's the dream No Avail project.
Okay.
Not related to professional wrestling in any capacity. Yeah, I think an animation studio is probably the Dream No Avail project. Something that I can use and utilize to tell stories that can touch people across generations and give people the opportunity to tell stories. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
What should we call it? Forgotten State Studios or something like that, or?
That's not bad.
Yeah, no, that's not bad. It really isn't. I did forget to ask about that. What exactly is the mentality, or how did you come up with the Forgotten State as a thing to help identify yourself?
Oh gosh. So it started with me, my friend Robert Martyr, Ron Bass Jr., Daniel Starling, DMC, and Sir Nightmare Donovan. All of us were in a car heading to SCI for the SCI Rumble, and this was shortly after AC Mack had won the IWTV championship. Since brought this up to AC Mack, which is a good bit. At his speech after winning the belt, he listed off a numerous promotion states that he would like to defend the title into, and he skipped over us. And I remember in my brain, much like with my wrestling school, that put a craw in my ass, and I was. I guess I was kind of bothered by the idea, just because Florida had at one point been the mecca. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, not just for the NXTs and Full Sail, but also for FIP and the Evolves and all sorts of things that were like based down here. We had a really, really huge stake in the independent scene, and a lot of people were coming down here just to make their names.
Absolutely.
And that obviously COVID hit, and then all of that sort of just stopped. Obviously, it stopped before COVID a little bit, but
yeah, it was slowing down, but COVID was really a blow to it more than anything else.
Absolutely. And we were talking in the car, and slowly the idea of the Forgotten State came. And the idea for the Forgotten State for me is always comes back to marketing, right?
Right.
If you see me, Martyr Bass, Starling, DMC, all these different people being announced as the Forgotten State, obviously the consumer is going to become curious about that. And when you become curious, you look it up on social medias with the hashtag or whatever. You can find other wrestlers that are also from the Forgotten State. You find new matches, new wrestlers you may be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all with guise of trying to get more eyes on the Florida independent wrestling scene.
Okay.
And then a bunch of old dudes from Florida got mad, and it then became a youth movement in a weird sort of way, where it just became all of us trying to rep what is our vision of the future of Florida independent wrestling, which is all of us. And it just kind of happened that I just became the de facto Florida girly, which is fun.
Hey, you know what? It people are certainly not going to forget that, at least at this point. You know, they certainly got something that they can attach the Forgotten State to. I mean,
I'm not upset about it at all. It's just it's weird. It's very funny.
No, honestly, I can understand where you're coming from when it comes to that one. But sadly, we do gotta get down from the dream scenario, and we have to get back to reality. And I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
5 years, maybe still wrestling. We'll see what's happening.
Okay.
5-10 years. God, where do I hope to see myself? I hope that I have been a good enough veteran and a pillar of the community enough to where my influences on both the youth and the scene as a whole have caused a change for the better. I hope that some of the toxic mentalities and some of the toxic lies and sort of half-truths that have been told by generations past are pushed to the wayside, and now people can operate with a better understanding of what they're getting themselves into. I hope that I've set up good systems for future professional wrestlers so that they don't feel that they're just dragged out into the fucking cold and left to freeze to death, that they actually have some semblance of support. Yep. I hope that my body hasn't completely broken down over years of doing the dumbest spots that I can come up with. And 5-10 years, knowing my luck, I'll probably have a contract somewhere.
I mean, hey, you know, if it pays the bills.
I dread thinking about it already.
Nah, I can imagine. I mean, you know, who knows at this point? Like, there's still so much in the air when it comes to, like, hell, what's going on a day-to-day basis when it comes to just life in general. So, like, maybe that opportunity to get that contract would be a good one that you'll feel comfortable with. Who knows?
Fingers crossed. Maybe I will stop being so much of a stick in the mud moralist with too many things and too many opinions.
Honestly, valid. I get that. No. As we start to wind down the conversation, I just got one last question I want to ask you, Noah. Obviously, you are deeply entrenched in art in one form or fashion at this point. Like, there's nothing that's going to take you away from this, no matter how hard people try, whether it be continuing with the wrestling or even, like you said, going into, like, the animation or writing or something along the lines of that. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
I think art is probably the most important thing that humanity has ever come up with conceptually, because to express emotion, to express feelings, to connect with each other on a basis that is deeper than simply just words can express is something that I think will outlive us. There's a reason why when we sent that golden disc out into space, it wasn't just scientific calculations, it was the entirety of our artistic collective consciousness. It is the human experience. It is explaining what it meant to be human and why we are the way that we are and the things that we did and who we are, not just as a society, but just as a species on the planet. I think that art is the thing that separates us from so many species that have gone extinct before, and the thing that will continue to be our lasting legacy is the vestiges and whispers of a civilization that once existed when we are long gone and the heat death of the universe has happened, at the very least, we will have had an opportunity to express what it was like to live on Earth as a human being.
I think that is. Oh, sorry. I thought you were closing your eyes for a second there. I think that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself. Um, No, like I said, that's all the questions that I have for you. I've already showered you with Lord knows how much praise at this point, but I'm gonna shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what the fuck I want. Um, no, genuinely, I know I've kind of illustrated several times before, but you are a wrestler that I quickly learned to love and appreciate just about every single thing you've been able to do. I know Effy was the one that kind of introduced me to yourself with one of the big gay brunches, for you being featured on there. But ever since I first heard about you, I can't help but just love and admire the opportunities you've been able to get. And like I kind of illustrated throughout the episode, just how much of you, like bold, unapologetic, loud and proud you are with just about every single thing that you do. Like in a world where it's very easy to be fake and, you know, really easy to project an image or whatnot, in a world like this one, real recognizes real, and you were one of the realest wrestlers I have had a chance to even admire, let alone get a chance to talk to. Like I said, it has been an honor and a pleasure to get a chance to chat with you today, and it just makes me excited for whatever's going to be happening next. Whether you continue to put up an incredible appearance and incredible opportunities out there on the independent scene, or you get that opportunity to do a contract and maybe do a little something here and there or whatnot. Like, I know that whatever you're gonna do, it's gonna be absolutely insane, and if people are not on board right now, they need to be. I mean, you may not be over, but by God, you are easily one of the most respected people that should be out there, and I cannot wait to see what is next. So thank you for what you do, Noah. Keep up the incredible work, and just know that I am one of thousands and hopefully millions at a certain point that's going to love and appreciate what you do day in and day out. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I'm not crying. You are.
Look, it's okay. It's been an emotional day. No, look, I speak nothing from the truth. I mean, I already got you on the podcast. Why would I lie to you at this point? Now, if people want to know why I've been gushing about you for the past hour or so that we've been recording, go ahead and plug yourself for the people at home. Where can people learn more about Noah Vale?
If you would like to learn more about Noah Vale, you can follow me on all of my social medias. On X, you can find me at Noah X Vale. On Instagram, you can find me at Noah Vale 97, and you can find me on Facebook at Noah Vale. You can also find me on YouTube at Noah Vale Isn't Over. All of my matches and things of that nature are very easy for you to find on all of my social media, as well as on YouTube. There is a accoutrement of matches, some of which I've never even seen myself.
Yep.
So hopefully they're not bad. But yeah. If you want to hear my random ramblings about things that I hate both in the industry and just in life in general, you can follow me on X. But yeah, I'm a pretty easy person to find.
There you go. And if for some reason you guys can't find any of those links, I'll have them in the description below. I'll make sure that's easy for y'all to find Noah, like genuinely. If not, if you're around the South, especially around like Florida or Alabama or Carolinas or Georgia or whatnot, look for your local indie wrestling promotion. For all we know, Noah could be booked to that one. You never know where they'll pop up.
A very solid chance. I'm on the road much too often.
Do you have any final words before we sign off?
The only things that I will say is that I hope that whomever listens, and whether you're an artist or not, I hope that you continue to be unapologetically yourself, even in environments that tell you you should be otherwise.
I think that is a wonderful thing for us to end on. And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, if you can, please pay your artists. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. Genuinely. Like I said in the intro, I was ecstatic to finally get the opportunity to talk to Noah, and my God, it was a really cool chat. Noah, if you've gotten up to this point, thank you sincerely so much for taking the time to even do this in the first place. It's really exciting to always get that insight when it comes to kind of a wrestler's mentality or just an artist's mentality in the first place. I know when it comes to Noah, it's always going to be an uphill battle for them. And I'm so glad to see, despite everything, they are still surviving and thriving and doing incredible things week in and week out. I know in today's world and in today's climate, that seems harder and harder to do. I'm sure I don't need to go into details. If you're listening to this years in the future and hopefully things are better by now, just look at what was happening in the summer of 2025, and you can just see how chaotic things have been, to put it mildly. I hope this lives to be years and years in the future, and people get to look back and listen on some incredible people that are hopefully at this point like out there doing absolutely insane things when it comes to the world and really communicating to people, putting out a message and putting out their passion more than anything else. Because like for example, today's episode was what Noah's doing. If they had the opportunity to go onto a bigger stage to really get get themselves across more than anything else. I'm not saying he has to be the big of the big leagues. We don't need to go to WWE, especially with the route they seem to be going down. God, I love that blood money. But like, if they get an opportunity to actually like get more eyes onto what they're doing, the ceiling is the goddamn limit for them. Like, sincerely, they're doing awesome stuff right now, and like I hope that they not only get the chance to survive and thrive, but become an inspiration for so many other artists. I always have that hope with any of the artists that I bring on this podcast, because I know that they are capable of so much. They're capable of so many incredible things. They just need the opportunity to put that passion out there, and they need that platform for people to see, connect with it, share it, and lift up those voices. I hope with what I'm doing for the podcast, I hope it's at least a step in the right direction. I just sincerely hope that you guys at home that are listening to this take it further. Whether it be spreading this episode or going to their socials, showing that love and support, spreading the word about them. Do that. These people that I bring in, again, week in and week out, they absolutely deserve every ounce of love and praise that they deserve. Not only for putting in the time and effort to make incredible art or to perform incredible art, but to taking that time and effort to really get something out there that they can be proud of at the end of the day. And other people should be proud of it as well. Other people should be excited about it, ecstatic about it. I mean, hell, look at the biggest thing in like indie animation that came out recently, Knights of Guinevere. You can't tell me that there wasn't any love and passion that didn't go into that, because it was oozing with such care more than anything else. So whether it be Noah for today's episode, other guests that I've had on this podcast, or even ones that I've never heard about before, show those creators that you love, show them that love, show them that support, and show them that you love and appreciate the passion and the love that they have. Give that passion and love right back to them and then some. They deserve it. You deserve it. Everyone that takes the time to do this and to lift up voices like this, we all deserve it.